Welcome to episode 19 of Rogue Mode 0 to 40 in Flight of Nova. We will be picking up at Sullen Station. Last episode we started and finished at Sullen Station. That can happen, as being at the station will trigger a mission that you can't do yet, and then that mission will be available once you get back to the ground base. We are in the Calum EX5, but there are stations around. Let's see what stations are nearby. Looks like the closest station is Dalby. And Montana is approaching. Galdar is approaching. Cohagen is close. Oh, look for a Cohagen mission. Cohagen is getting closer and is under 2,000 kilometers away. So, do we have a Cohagen mission? Station Cohagen. Drifting cargo. 4 bars. And that's it. Alright, so in order to accept that mission, we need to get into a freighter, which is available at Sullen Station. So now we have occupied the freighter. And there's our Calum EX5 right there. And there is a shuttle right there if we wanted to take it. So we'll refuel this and we'll check on the Cohagen mission. Station Cohagen, drifting cargo. And there's no time limit. So this won't be worth that much, but it is a 4-bar mission, and Cohagen is on the approach. We'll just go now. Barely need to even get away from this station, since it's so small. And we will fly directly at Cohagen. And just correct on the way. Alright, we'll line up right about there. Say goodbye to Sullen. So 1,700 kilometers away. I think that our plan is going to be, we're reducing our velocity. So if we're reducing our velocity, then we have a lot less stress about our altitude, because then we'll take a lot less propellant to pull us out of the atmosphere. If we are accelerating and catching the station, then we pick up quite a bit of velocity, and we need quite a bit of propellant or fuel or delta V or whatever you want to call it in order to change our direction. So because we are going to be, we can come to a total stop and just drop down, and then our acceleration towards the planet won't be so much that we need an extreme amount of time to burn away from the planet in order to circularize. Or in this case, we're going so slowly that we wouldn't even be going for circularization. We would just be trying to hop until we got to where we want to be. So we are accelerating towards the planet with gravity, but that's how you know that we are not really traveling horizontally around the planet, because we are just accelerating towards the planet very quickly. So if we find ourselves needing to loiter until Cohagen catches up, which I don't think we will, then we will just burn up. But most likely what we're going to do is get pretty close to the altitude we want to be at, and then we're just going to try to burn into a circularizing orbit. But it looks like actually what we're going to have to do is burn early and chase it a little bit. Which will be even better for controlling our altitude, because we can reduce the rate of our descent gently on the first burn, so that when we start getting closer to the right altitude, we have less catch up to do at once. And that's actually where we are right now. So we're gonna start, I'm gonna go for about a 70. Let's go for a 70 burn. And that'll kill some of our fall and start moving us in the right direction. So we only have about 100 kilometers that we can fall right now before we're at 188 altitude. All right, now we only have about 50 kilometers that we can fall. But if we fall below 188, that's okay. Right. Oh, except we actually don't want to do that. And the reason why we don't want to overshoot, oh no, actually we got a big problem, because now we're going to fail the mission. Because if we get too far away, then it already logged in the drifting cargo. So I think I got about 70 kilometers that I can get away from that drifting cargo before the mission fails. Oh, unless he changed that. Well, I don't know the rules, but I've failed missions by overshooting like that before. If you get too far away from the drifting cargo, then it would despawn. And then your mission would fail automatically. Oh. Alright, we're gonna give that whole station and everything a speed wobble. First mission of the day. Got to expect it. This is a big double speed wobble. So, do we go for a third speed wobble? that was a close one. But here we are. So, let's get lined up with this cargo. Start thrusting down at it. Capture. Cargo secured. Now we just deliver the cargo over to Copenhagen Station. But not before we use Copenhagen's dockport. The most annoying thing that a player in this position could do. Delay the mission in order to carry out some personal activity. And in this case, what I will carry out is docking to a dockport instead of just finishing the mission. But as is my tradition, I like to dock to the dockport first before going to the dock pad every time I approach a station, no matter what. And in that way I get the most... It's not the most practiced docking to a dockport, but it is the most practiced docking to a dockport without specifically just practicing docking to a dockport. Alright, here we are. We're lined up. So let's get lined up. Contact. Alright, let's undock. We'll get over to that dock port. we will reach level 27, and we are going for 0 to 40, so we were going to be getting close to, I think we are now in excess of 2/3 of the way there. I think that's confidently 2/3 of the way there. Okay. Okay, we did not refuel. Okay, we did not refuel, and I did not need to refuel. We did not refuel at the dock port. And we flew all around. So now we gotta watch our fuel, because we might have infinite fuel in the freighter. Sometimes there's weird bugs. So drifting cargo was a long ways away. Alright, who's close? Galdar is not too far away and getting much closer, much more quickly. Sullen is still not that far. We could go back to Sullen. Let's clean our inbox out and see if we have any missions that we can do. It's not worth the bars. 2.5 hours, but my 841's on the other side of the planet. Dalby's getting closer, and this would be an interesting mission to do. Hydrogen valve. We're in the wrong ship. But there is a shuttle. But Dalby's still pretty far away. But it's a limited time on the mission. And that's why it might be worth taking it. So we have 2.5 hours to get to Dalby. It's approaching. It's 4:58 station. So we're catching up to it. So we can just race out to it. We'll make it in 2.5 hours easy. I mean, we'll make it in way less than 2.5 hours. But 5,000 kilometers is kind of a long ways to fly through space. Alright, so where's Dalby gonna be? Dalby's gonna be east. If we're gradually catching up to it from a 188 station. So if I could only see which way is east, I gotta get far enough away from the station before I can see east. Is that another drifting cargo? That looks like just a drifting cargo that doesn't have anything to do with anything. Alright, this must be east because that's where we're going. But I think it's too far away for us to see it. So what we'll do, 5,000 kilometers means burn down. Because that'll be less distance. So there goes Cohagen Station. And we're gonna burn down straight east. -20 might be a little aggressive. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna burn our periapsis down, and that'll be how we decide how long we burn. So I don't want to get below 100 ever, but we are getting up to like 11 kilometers per second, so we actually might want to burn a little bit more aggressively down. Nah, less aggressively. Right there is fine. Alright, so our periapsis is at 120. That's a very ideal periapsis. About 100 works, and we're at escape velocity. Alright, so we're going to go down to 100 kilometers. And then we'll just ride that thunder. Alright, so now we shouldn't really go in much lower than 100 kilometers. Even though it says 100.4, gravity is actually going to work on us and pull our speed up as we travel this little bit of distance. But then we are going to be ripping out into space And if we can't see Dalby soon, then we're gonna have to burn again. So one option is to burn even more and then pull down into the atmosphere. And then use the atmosphere to try to curve around the planet by keeping your periapsis right where you are, by using lift to pull you down to the planet. Now that's what I would want to do, actually, but I'm not experienced enough to know how that's going to go. And I'm not going to try to figure that out right now. But we have 80% of our fuel left, and I'll be able to do another periapsis burn where we push our periapsis back down again. So even though our periapsis is down, and when we fly past it, the periapsis is not going to change, because once we're out of the atmosphere above 120, we're not gonna change our periapsis. But if we start burning towards the planet, our periapsis will actually lift. Our orbit will start to try to circularize. Then it will go back down again and to 100. And then we can kind of do this. Burns a lot of fuel, but it will chase a space station down pretty quickly. So we're looking for Dalby Station. And if we're moving away from Dalby at this point, that would be a real bummer. But we're not. We're moving close. We're moving closer in a nice, good click. And then as long as we're below 458 in our altitude, which is climbing fast, then we can be slowing down. Alright, so Dalby 458. So at this point, I'm going to burn down again, because I don't want to really get too high altitude. We could wait a little bit to burn down, but Dalby's pretty close. We're getting closer quick. So I'm going to burn, and we'll watch our periapsis climb up to our altitude. And then we'll watch our periapsis start to dip, and then we'll put it right back down to 100. So we're not really burning perfectly east. So we may need to correct. Alright, so now our periapsis is stooping back down. Alright, so we're back down to 100 periapsis. So now what we gotta do is we gotta consider our inclination. So we're at 0.1, so I'm gonna burn south. And I'm going to try to zero my inclination. Which takes a lot of fuel, actually, once you're going pretty quick. Alright, it's okay to be moving at a slight southerly direction right now, because we're actually not at zero lat. And so I put my periapsis in 97.4, which will be a little bit more atmosphere than 100. But not that much. You don't really get some thick atmosphere till about 80. At 13.7 kilometers per second, though, I don't know how much atmosphere it would take to really start warming up the ship, but I'm 100% sure that I will be okay with this periapsis. So Dalby's at 458, which is actually a pretty high altitude. And we're approaching 97.4, catching some friction from the air. So we could try to generate some lift. Hold ourselves down. But I don't think that we'll be able to do that at this altitude. That would just slow us down. I would say 80 kilometers altitude is about where you can really generate some lift. Alright, so we're gonna have to do this burn again. And we're up out of the atmosphere, so I'm gonna start burning now. So we could allow our altitude to climb, but 458 is not that high at this velocity. It will not take very long to get to 458 at 13.6 kilometers per hour. Meters per second, 13.6 kilometers per second. Alright, I think that after this, our next major burn is going to be to slow down. Because we're under 50%, we're at 50% propellant, and we're playing with a lot of velocity here. But hopefully we'll naturally drop just the right amount, and then when we come springing up, we can slow down a little bit, and then we'll spring right up at them. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and see if we can't get some lift. Alright, we're out of 120, so at this point I want to burn north, fix my inclination. .800 kilometers. We're catching up to Dalby on this hop. We only got 250 kilometers to climb. I'm gonna start slowing down. I'm gonna kill some of my eastward trajectory. We got a lot of burning to do, so looks like we're still gonna be speed wobbling them. So hopefully we don't speed wobble too hard. We're going about twice as fast as we need to be. Alright. Now I think we can just kill our FPA at this point. A little bit. Okay, I'm gonna take a break for a second from that burn. And just correct on this. Oh, jeez. Running low on propellant. Alright, now we're moving directly at Dalby. But we're not moving directly there that quickly anymore. So I want to speed this up a little bit. Even though we are down at 25% propellant, I feel pretty confident that we're okay now. So I'm going to, 300 kilometers at anywhere less than 1 kilometer per second. You're talking about 6 minutes trip. I want to get that down to less than 6 minutes. And since I'm now confident of my vector, orbit is starting to swing Dalby out of our trajectory. That's why you don't want to try to do this kind of alignment from too far away. I could try to counter with RCS. We are kind of far enough away that that'll probably matter. And it would save me a little bit of H2. But we're not going to outpace gravity like this. Alright, we're around about a minute and a half away now. So, that means it's time to recorrect. There we go. Got our vector icon. Help us out with this. All right. Overshot. Speed wobble. There she blows. Overshot by quite a bit. Oh, we still got 15% of our fuel remaining. We're going straight to a dock port. Everything is going to be good. Looks like I'm all lined up. Oh, geez. I think I'm getting these erroneous inputs I love to talk about. Where, like, I don't put the input, it just, like, goes the input. It's like, you must put the input. But no. Sometimes actually, so one thing that could be real is that all of the potentiometers on my joystick, on my controller, and there are 8 of them, they're all connected together. So changing the voltage across one technically changes the voltage across all of them. So if I do that, if I change the voltage on one of them, another problem is that, I mean, maybe I do put the input, but the positive and negative number is not consistent. So if you try to read the positive and negative number on the roll, pitch, and yaw, you'll never learn which one goes which way, because they're correlating to the station, not to the dock port. So depending on where the dock port is on the station, those positive and numbers and negative numbers, they all switch around. So every time you go to a dock port, the positive and negative numbers on some of them are changing. Every different dock port is different. So every time you want to look at those positive and negative numbers, you need to be looking at that number. You need to go one way and see what happens, and go the other way and see what happens. And sometimes you're still correlating to another one, and so you could also just push the wrong button, not realizing you're doing that, which must happen a little bit. But the thing is I test it. I sit and I test it, and I'm very careful to push only one input, and another input will get entered sometimes. So the voltage values may be a consideration, but the problem with that is that when I watch the driver, I can't replicate that result. So sometimes I can get little spikes out of another input, but usually if I test in the driver, I can see all the values of the joysticks, and I push one and it doesn't change all the other ones. And then I push it and I push the different ones, and none of the other ones change. But then in the game, I push one and I get another input from somewhere else. Like I push the pitch, and then all of a sudden the roll starts to go more accelerating in the roll direction. So I don't know what it is. Sometimes I just appear to get erroneous inputs, where as I approach the dock port, it just starts spinning one direction or another, like a little extra here and there, and I can't figure it out. You know, is it a bug in the game? I mean, I can sit here and be like, somebody's watching me play this game and hacking into my game and pushing the dang buttons when I'm trying to get close, and that's what I think happens. Some days I'm really convinced, but how are you gonna ever know some shit like that? And there's all these other possible explanations, and we're on the totally wrong side of the planet. And this is a 450 station. We'll just we'll just ride it out. It won't take that long. So from 450 kilometers altitude, I was playing with about 4,000, about 4,400. 4,400 kilometers, I think, was the last one that I did. Okay, let me think about this. Yeah, I think it was at about 4,400 kilometers. And then I can go for a negative 15 FPA. Oh, I'm gonna crash. I really wanted that to work differently, but... So I'm gonna go for a negative 15 FPA. A strong negative 15. And then ideally, I'll be pretty close to my normal 188 re-entry by the time I get down to that altitude. I just had to burn a little bit early to cancel out a little bit of extra FPA. A strong 15. And we are actually gonna try to burn our dog leg. I actually don't believe you can play a unique video game in the modern world without somebody eventually coming along to see you play it. So I have about 500 to 650, 600, maybe 600 hours in the game. So I don't think that, because this is kind of an indie game, I don't believe it's even imaginable. I don't think it's even possible that I could put 600 hours in this game, be connected to the internet the way I am, be in the hacker environment that I'm in. I mean, I'm gonna have the fucking Chinese, the Americans, the French, the fucking English, the fucking Indians, the fucking Pakistanis, the Saudi Arabians. All of them will have had an agent tune in to my gameplay and see why I'm spending 600 of my hours on a game no one else plays. I just think that that's the only way to understand it. You know? Why am I playing this game? You know? Someone's gonna say, you know what? We are hacking every game. We're making money off of these games. Something or other. I just don't even believe it. I could never believe it. You know, hacking is easy. You know, it's a Steam game. So somebody around the world will have hacked into Steam, and then other people can just download a program where they just sit in there and enter some, you know, code value, you know, choose some click boxes and enter some values depending, and then in they go, you know, and they can see at least some statistics about your gameplay. You know, but they can also watch my screen. Once they know who I am, now they can just watch my screen, you know. Alright, I am not paying attention. It is time to burn up. And because we're too far away still, we're quite a ways off target, I'm going to burn my FPA all the way off. I'm going to go to a 0 FPA and then start falling from there, and that way we'll kind of save our velocity until we get a little closer. Alright, so yeah, we're still pretty far away. I could actually give it some juice and totally justify that. But at this point, I'm just going to let myself kind of fly down. Let re-entry do its thing. Matter of fact, I'm going to throw some trim on there, try not to lose that much altitude. I'm not going to trim yet. I'm not going to trim until my FPA is 0. But technically I'm super orbital right now. Yeah, you see my orbit is actually elliptical, and I'm closer to my periapsis than I am to the apoapsis. So it's not super orbital, but super circular. Technically speaking, I'm super orbital, super circular right now. And that means that I'm not going to fall back down until I shed velocity. I'm actually going to go all the way up to 300 kilometers, but I'm shedding velocity, so you can see my apoapsis is just dropping and dropping. So actually what I could do is trim up and do this number. Oh geez. But at 1,700 kilometers out, I kind of want to be here. So at this point, my periapsis is negative. And really, if your periapsis is below 100, I mean, you're kind of suborbital just as a result of that. Alright, at 800 kilometers, I want to get a steep FPA now. Alright, I'll let myself cool off here. -7. Let's get lined up. At this point, I'm just gonna let myself overshoot. Today is a big day of overshooting. I was at work though. That's my excuse. It's okay to overshoot from work. Oh, we might die. Oh, jeez. Yeah, taking damage. Shedding velocity though. Taking a lot of damage. We got a lot of velocity to shed though. We're way overshot. Hundred kilometers off. Well, and we burned up a lot. Look, there's some damage right there. Yeah, so actually I don't think you take extra damage once you're already damaged. So I don't care about getting hot right now, because I know I'm not going to get too hot.
mess in there anyway. That floor never. I got my pen from it. I'm not reading it. Yeah, I might have to get some other food.
Unidentified craft. Skybarge Toledo. Copy your emergency. If you read me, you're cleared to land on any pad.
All right. Repair. You know, it might make sense that you can get refueled anywhere, but it might not make sense that you can get repaired. Because it's my understanding that these spaceships take a lot of work. So we'll see where we get, but that's going to be the end of episode 19. That was pretty good. We did some orbital transfers just on the loose, you know, so fast and loose. Looks like we're going to get it pretty close to 28, but probably not going to hit 28. Oh yeah, so one good big mission will get us all the way to 28, but we are in Broome Larson, and Broome Larson is a good place to go because you can get local missions. And normally you're like, oh, I don't want to do those local missions, I want to do 5-bar missions, because when you look at these missions, there's 4 bars, 5 bars. A local mission is going to give you like 120 experience instead of like 4,000. You know, so look here, tech bot, accept mission. All right, so we'll go see what this tech bot real quick, what kind of mission we're dealing with here, right? So we'll grab this tech bot level 4, and then we'll do this mission real quick. It should take 5 minutes because it's a local mission in Broome Larson where everything's pretty close together. And we'll see how far that gets us. I don't think it's going to get us to the next level, that's for sure. Oh, my trim is going crazy. No wonder. I was flying that whole thing with a trim of 20. I guess I forgot to refuel at that airship. landing gear down. Refueling. Cargo was gonna go 122 kilometers away, so that's a little bit longer than I wanted to take right now. That's okay. Once you're in there, you might as well do the thing, huh? Could have got probably a higher altitude. Probably would have reached a higher velocity. I'm kind of deep in the air, so kind of can't go much faster than this. According to this, it's a Mach 4. But Mach is a funny thing. Mach is not related to your actual fixed velocity number. Like a Mach is an approximate number that you can talk about, but it's like entirely based on environmental factors, and so like your altitude affects your air density and the temperature affects the air density. So Mach is a kind of a dynamic number. I mean, this game isn't calculating that. I'm 100% sure this game is just like, yeah, that's Mach 3 right there, good enough. But it would be cool if it calculated it, because we do have air density right there, 0.64, 0.65. I'm not sure what that means, but
Base 156 ground. Greetings, we see you on screen.
oh, a little bit of a hard landing. TechBot level 4. So this is a 1-bar mission. I don't actually know what the XP value would be from it. 219. So as you can see, we get 219 points out of that. And that's about what a local mission is good for. So we would need like 5 more local missions to get to 28. Or we could do 1 orbital mission of any kind. And if it's a 5-bar mission, we'll be almost at 29. And We are going 0 to 40, so it's a race. But that's it for today, so thanks for watching, and see you next time on Rogue Mode 0 to 40 in Flight of Nova.